Hi YouTube, and welcome to Superb Classics video on how to buy a Toyota MR2 Mark1, a buyer's guide. So a little bit about myself. I used to run a company called Superb Classics and Sports Limited. We bought and sold many MR2 Mark1s as well as many other classic sports cars during the time we were in operation. And this is one of my MR2s which I've just sold, which is about to go out the door, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to make a video for you guys on it. Okay. So, this one's a low mileage example with about 70,000 miles on the clock. Only had 3 owners from new. Important factors when buying a car: that was backed up with all the old MOT certificates and a full service history. Paperwork's very important when you're buying a classic car. You want something that's only had a few owners and it's done as few miles as possible. Right, what to look out for with the MR2 Mark1. This is an MR2 Mark1B model. So 1987 to 1990 as opposed to 1985 to 1987. Got a few upgrades over the earlier models. So rust is the main problem with these cars. Here's some of the rust areas to look out for. Front wings tend to rust quite badly. At the moment they're about £150 each from Toyota to buy. This area, what meets a splitter, often rusts, as does where it meets the sill. Sills are notoriously bad for rust. You won't really see the sills without taking off this plastic sill cover. That's an area you want to check. Sills are available. Also behind here, sill return panel I believe it's called. That area rusts behind that plastic trim. Again available. Wheel arches are the worst areas for the rust. These tend to rust quite badly and have often been bodged repaired. You can often tell because they've been missing this stripe right here. They've been repainted. So yes, wheel arch panels usually rust. Check here for rust and any signs of filler. That panel is also available. There's also a panel down by the mud flap which rusts very badly. When we're looking at check that area for rust. That panel is also available. The electric aerials on these cars fail. This is the original style Toyota electric aerial. You can tell by the 4 dots on it and the ball end. That works fine. Make sure that works when you buy the car. Exhausts don't tend to last very long on this car, but parts are still available. Stainless steel exhaust is a good upgrade because obviously they've got a lifetime guarantee on them, not too loud. The mild steel exhausts do not last very long. These are the original style alloy wheels, teardrop alloy wheels. These have been repainted. Nice cheap tyres on these cars, they're only about 40 quid a piece, which is fantastic. Pop-up headlights don't usually give you too much of an issue. They can rust on the underside of this bonnet. So if you open up the bonnet and look in this area, you can sometimes find rust. Behind the front bumper is what's called the front crash bar. They are notorious for rotting. They're about £200 from Toyota at the moment, brand new. Don't know how much stock Toyota have got of them left. But to check that, pop up the bonnet, as I'll show you in a minute, and have a look down through the holes that are just well, under the bonnet area, and you'll be able to see the front crash bar. You want to be checking for rust along the seams, which are in roughly these areas here. Okay, another area for rust, like I said, these can be rust buckets, is the door switch area on both sides. You want to check for any rust around here. This one's solid. Also check that area, the front of the sill on the A-pillar, check that for rust. See if there's any other rust areas I can think of. Generally in the engine bay they're pretty good. Let's have a look at the engine bay then. Okay, so this engine bay is all original. It's got the 2 litre 16 valve 4 AGE engine, 1.6, and it hasn't been messed with at all. All original apart from the HT leads which have been replaced. So you're looking at the 4 AGE 16 valve engine there. The only modification this car's had is had this MR2 bracket fitted. Apart from that, you're looking at a completely original engine bay. This is what you want to see. No aftermarket air filters or anything. Quick look at the interior, what you should be looking for in there. This is the sunroof model cars, not a T-bar. All the sunroof model cars came with cloth interiors, so either black or they are blue. This one is black. In red cars they will always be black. Interiors wear very well. So you'll very rarely see much wear or tear on an interior in MR2 unless it's leather. This is the original stereo, Toyota stereo, and like I said, everything is all original in here with no mods except for these two leather items. It's the only modifications to the car. When buying a low mileage car, you want to check the wear and tear on items such as the pedals, check they're not too worn, the steering wheel, check that that's not very worn, the gear knob, handbrake lever, and the bolsters where you get in and out of the car. On a low mileage car, these should be in very good condition with very little wear. If they are worn, but the mileage on the clock is low, alarm bells should be ringing. The MR2s come with electric windows, central lock-in, and they're often fitted with Thatcham 1 alarm immobilizers like this one. Quick look in the front engine bay for you, or the front boot, because the engine's in the back obviously. These badges can be about £20 to £30 to replace if they're missing. So if they're not there, it's a good haggling point. This is how it should look with your jack. Make sure you've got the original Toyota toolkit as well. If that's missing, that can be about £30 to replace. And check this area for rust as well. They can often rust in these areas here. So make sure they work. The headlights, I mean. And make sure there's no rust in those areas. The front crash bar I was telling you about, you can see through these access holes here. You can also see the front radiator. So have a good nose in there. Check the condition of that. Look forward and see the radiator. Look towards the front of the car and you'll be able to look down and see the seams on the front crash bar. Make sure they're in good condition. Yep, mechanically the engines are pretty bulletproof. You've got nothing to worry about there. I've seen cars with the customers have brought in with like blown head gaskets, never been serviced, astronomical mileages, and they still manage to work and they actually drive really well, which is a miracle. I don't understand it. They are fantastic engines. Weak points mechanically would be the gearbox. You want to check that the fifth gear works fine. They often pop out of fifth gear. This is a common fault on low mileage and high mileage examples. So to check that, you want to drive the car at about 30 miles an hour, put it into fifth gear and take your foot off the accelerator pedal. Then plant your foot down hard on the accelerator pedal and then off, and repeat that a few times. If you see the gear lever moving around a little bit, that's nothing to be alarmed about, but if it moves around to the extent that it pops out of fifth gear, then you've got a problem. That can be quite an expensive gearbox rebuild. Another problem with the gearbox can be first and second gear synchromesh can chip on them, and again that's a rebuild problem. It's something I've seen quite often. Yes, okay, so we've covered the bodywork quite thoroughly. We've looked at the mechanics, so the engines are bulletproof, the gearboxes are not. Suspension. Shocks and springs tend to be pretty reliable on these cars. What does often need replacing on the front end of the car are the anti-roll bar drop links. They're only about £20 a pair, so there's nothing to worry about there. That'll often make a clunking noise when going over bumps and such. There's quite a lot of used spares available on eBay and other sources for these cars. Yeah, what I'd recommend is that you do buy one with a solid bodywork and a solid gearbox. That's the main concern really. Those are the pricey items on the car. I think I've covered most things there. So rust is your main enemy with these. Look for a good service history. Yes, and make sure you haven't got any bodge repairs on the back end of the car, such as the wheel arches and stuff. A lot of these cars come wax oiled. That's obviously a bonus if you can find an example that has been wax oiled. T-bar examples are very popular. They will have a roof that extends to this area here, and they're removable. The T-bars often come with leather interiors. T-bars are the only models that come with leather interiors as standard. The leather interior tends to perish over time, and a lot of the time you'll see T-bars that have cloth seats but leather door cards. Now that's a cloth door card we're looking at. What that means is that the leather seats have perished and somebody swapped them out for some cloth ones. If you can find a good leather interior, you've got quite a rarity there. I used to get them retrimmed when I was running my specialist company. Any questions, feel free to comment below and I'll try to get back to you. And best of luck. Fantastic cars, lots of fun. I'm sure you'll love them. Thank you.